All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Rithmm Rundown with myself, Josh Applebaum, my partner in crime, one of the sharpest people I know, Mr. Cade Harper. Cade, we got a lot to get to on tonight's Rithmm Rundown. Obviously, we have a huge Thursday night game. Always get excited for these ones. And I don't know, man. Will another dog bark? We were basically a week ago tonight, Cade. We were talking about Arizona Cardinals, Dallas Cowboys. Again, not a lot of people really wanted to take the points there with Arizona, but they found a way to not only cover the number, but win the game outright. Now, kind of a bad beat. You and I were joking before the show on that over because there were some good angles there to go over, but it did stay under. Don't you know it? Team that scores a ton, for and against the one game they don't really produce there with Dak Prescott. So kind of a tough game there if you played that over. But we got a lot to get to here, Cade. Number one, we have obviously Thursday Night Football, as my sister starts to call me. Cade, are there people in your life where you say, every Thursday at 6, I have a stream. Yet my sister always calls me right at 6. It's like I can't pick up the phone. So anyway, I got to call her back later, Cade. But a lot to get to. We have a lot of smart signals going on here. So I want to dive into some of these for both pro and college, as well as some player props that I think you and I are going to lean on pretty heavily. There's a Sunday Night Football game I'm interested in to talk about with you, the Steelers and the Chargers, as well as a really interesting Monday game. Monday Night Football with Philly and Green Bay. Hey, maybe a possible NFC Championship game, but this one's really interesting because the line has moved and the public is hammering one side, but Rithmm is saying not so fast. Maybe a buy low spot here on this team that could be undervalued. And then we do have to talk about some college games here. But Cade, how you feeling, my man? How you doing? How was last week for you? And welcome back to the show, my friend.
It's been a rebounding week, I'd say. Definitely helped with college basketball returning. I kind of got into that and saved me from all the rough scenarios that we've dealt with from the NFL this past couple of Sundays. So it was nice to bounce back. But yeah, we're feeling pretty good and ready to keep it going. So
yeah, and to your point, definitely want to hammer this home because the whole point with Rithmm is to help people make sharp bets, and you can basically act like your own wise guy or wise gal. So you can get these AI-driven models and predictions, compare them to the betting market, look for the biggest discrepancies. And I'm really glad you mentioned college basketball because if you go to our Rithmm app here, you go to some college hoops, you're going to get all these models locked and loaded for you. So the fact that we have a new sport starting, really music to my ears and your ears, Cade, because you want to kind of maximize your edge. And I know when one sport isn't producing the way you want it to, like, for example, Cade, I'm a big dog better. It's been another chalky year in the NFL where we're seeing favorites cover like 54% of the time. Last 2 decades, it was dogs covering 54% of the time. So if you're a dog person like me, you're a little bit annoyed how this NFL season has gone. But again, if you don't want to bang your head against the wall, trying to stick to something, and you want to kind of branch out, I think as sports bettors, we want to be as good as we can be at multiple different sports. So the fact that we have college basketball lit up with all these predictions and smart signals, that's fantastic. And then, of course, if you look at NBA, I see the Rithmm Instagram page and Twitter page, left and right. All these people are cashing with their props. The Wembanyama's unders, I noticed that the other day. So just know that we have these smart signals lit up for you, as well as all these player props. So all this is available to you when you download Rithmm. Now, I want to give a quick shout out, Cade, because real quick housekeeping. We have a leaderboard contest that we would love for people to join. It costs you nothing. All you got to do is download Rithmm. You enter your model, and if you win, you have the best performing model. You get $1,000, $600, $400. We also have our Discord channel. A lot of people have been asking about this, but if you're a Discord person and you want to talk to other Rithmm members, bounce ideas off each other, that's available to you. And then we also have our promo code START25. That'll give you 25% off. But all of that being said, Cade, I want to give a quick shout out to the team at Rithmm because I logged into Rithmm today and I'm like, something looks different. What's going on here? So if we go to our Rithmm homepage, I want to give a huge shout out to the team at Rithmm for totally revamping everything. I mean, if we go to our NFL tab, the layout just looks super clear. We have these new headers where you can go straight to the smart signals. You can also look based upon today, tomorrow, the upcoming games. What I really like is when you click on some of these predictions, it's just a very clean interface. So it just goes to show you that team at Rithmm continues to improve the product, make the layout clearer and crisper and more accessible from the user layout standpoint. So it's really cool to see all these advancements that have been made in the Rithmm app. Now, Cade, let's talk about this game here for tonight. It's interesting to me in a couple different ways because on the one hand, it looks pretty clear that the Raiders and the points are a pretty sharp bet. If you look at kind of what we've seen across the betting market, you're getting upwards of 65, 70% of spread bets laying the points with the Broncos tonight. So it makes total sense. Broncos have a good record. Raiders have a big losing record. Raiders just traded away Jacoby Myers. You have one team ascending. I believe Broncos have won, 4 or 5 straight now at this point. Raiders kind of going the other way. So public says easy play here. Take Broncos, lay the points. They're going to roll by 10 or more. However, even though you're getting nearly 2/3 of bets laying it with the Broncos again open as high as minus 10.5. This line is now all the way down to 9.5 or 9. Some books now down even to 8.5. So that tells me, Cade, we got some respected money here going Raiders in the points. Now they would match as a divisional dog, so that built-in familiarity levels the playing field, benefits the team getting points. Those divisional dogs have covered around 54% of the time. On the road, they're even better, 55% ATS. That also matches with the Raiders here. Primetime dogs, again, you had Arizona cover against Dallas on Monday. That's another angle there that's come through. Primetime dogs are 16 and 12 ATS this season, 57%. You also have Pete Carroll, the number 2 dog cover machine when it comes to head coaches here. A lot of that, of course, goes back to his time with Seattle. And Bill Vinovich, 57% against the spread as the lead ref. So I'm looking at, if you're playing this side, I got to go with the Raiders or nothing here. And we do have 2 recommended plays. Now, they are a bit of a caution flag here, but my first model has Raiders plus 7.8. Second model has Raiders plus 7.9. So if you can shop around, again, always scroll down. It's an easy way to find the best number. There's a lot of 9s out there, but you want to increase your chances of winning by making sure you get the hook plus 9.5. So, Cade, for me, it's Broncos or nothing, riding with this these recommendations from Rithmm. Walk me through the way you're looking at this game. Is this a play where you hold your nose, you trust the data, and you go Raiders, or short week, Raiders just went to overtime? Are you thinking maybe we should take a different approach here?
There's a lot of gross systems out there, pretty much pointing all of which different ways. And ultimately, it's led me to take the grossest one on the board. And yeah, I mean, that is Vegas with backing the Raiders. So yeah, back to the well with Geno Smith, unfortunately. But you know what? That's why we do it. What the data says, you have to roll with, and it doesn't lie. So got to ride the hot hand, basically. There's not necessarily, I haven't really found anything metric-wise that just stands out, that just highlights Raiders, other than the fact of, yeah, short week, overtime game, grudge match, divisional game, the stuff that we've already pretty much broken down the last however many weeks we're in now. I mean, yeah, but that's pretty much all you need, and that kind of stance in order to take Raiders in this case. And quite frankly, I expect it to be a dogfight again. So
yeah, and you bring up a good point too, trusting the data. Now, this can be very difficult because sometimes, and I think a lot of people get confused, like, a sharp play loss. So therefore, I'd never trust a sharp play again. When you got to remember, betting's hard. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Sometimes the sharps lose. When we talk about sharp money, that's basically money coming from respected bettors who have a track record of success, who have the respect of the sports books. And they're not throwing darts. They're betting based on typically the models they create, comparing their number to what they think the spread should be to what the odds makers have. And sharps are going to win 55 to 60% of the time. So that does mean sharps are not infallible. They're not invincible, but it does tell you long term, you want to be with the smart money, not against it. So with that being said, you and I joked a little bit earlier how a lot of these gross dogs, which have been so great for so many years, kind of haven't produced this year. So if you look at a lot of these angles, just dogs in general, I had a system where it was dogs with a line move. Like if you're a dog 7 down to 6.5, you're only getting 30%. I mean, those teams are covering 54, 55% of the time. Now you're slightly below 50%. So when you're laying the juice, that becomes a loser versus trying to just overcome the 52.38%. But we do have to throw this out there. As improbable as it seems, as unlikely as it seems, Raiders stink, Broncos are great. Let's just see that Rithmm here is kind of saying you're not crazy if you're thinking about an upset win here, because the Raiders money line is a Green Star recommended play, basically in this spot as a smart signal. you've produced a 9-6 record. It is a smaller sample size, but really when you look at the price of this money line play, you're looking at like almost plus 400 Cade. You might make, 4 of these bets and only win one of them, but because you're getting these great payouts, it becomes a quote unquote sharp play long term. So tell me this, Cade. You don't have to tell me if you're going money line or not with the Raiders, but what's the path to victory? Is it Bo Nix turning the ball over? Is it Raiders playing great offensively? What's the case for Raiders maybe pulling off the upset tonight?
With the Raiders specifically, I mean, I go back to the end of the deadline from this past Tuesday. You lose one of your most valuable assets on as a weapon, and that's Jacoby Myers. And now what that does is, I mean, that opens up a lot of things because that can either mean a lot of good for Brock Bowers, that can mean a lot of good for Trey Tucker, that can mean a lot of good for Ashton Genty. You have no idea who's getting the ball. As from the Broncos standpoint and the scheme of things, you don't really know what to expect in this kind of game. But with a coach like Pete Carroll, and this is where I trust him and the experience and the veteran leadership more than a younger quarterback who's in a really big spot, divisional game, stuff like that. I think there's a lot that's playing into this and a lot of more people kind of think. And yeah, I mean, the Raiders, I mean, I don't want to say they are pretty bad, but again, we don't see often a lot of these, especially Thursday night dogs, just get blown out of the water, much less divisional dogs. And that's where the key is. So yeah, it's putting the ball in your playmakers that you trust. Make that be Brock Bowers, make that be Genty. A lot of it is, yeah, taking care of the ball. And that goes into Geno Smith's hands, which maybe him not turning the ball over more than a couple of times as he's maybe used to. Who knows? I mean, it's stuff as simple as that. Obviously, I mean, obviously, all we need is a 9.5. But in terms of winning the game, it's a completely different story. That takes a little bit more grit.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have to have a few things go your way for that to happen. But again, we want to highlight the fact that if you think you're crazy and everyone in your group chat says, Broncos by a million, hey, I remember my Patriots. They were a 12.5-point dog against the Rams in 2001. They won that game outright. I know I'm bringing the extremes here. And then also Patriots were, I think, favored by 14.5 against the Giants, and they lost outright. So football's a crazy sport, but it does show you with this recommendation here that if you think maybe you can pull off an upset victory, the data is behind you. Now, I'm going to give you my official play here, Cade, that I really like. It's the over. Now, again, you and I have talked so many times about primetime unders doing so well, and we did have that primetime under come through in the Cowboys game, which, again, those of you who, like myself who played the over, kind of kicking myself a bit with making that call. But I do like this play here tonight to be a little bit higher scoring. Now, one thing that jumped out to me is just the betting market. This game opened around 42.5. At one point, it got bet down to 41.5. You're back up to 42.5. But Kate, a closer look at the juice is the fact that this 42.5 is being juiced over minus 115, minus 120. You're also getting a few books up to 43. So it is creeping its way up. And if you look at the splits, Circa, a really sharp book in Vegas, they're getting about 70% of bets, over 80% of the money on the over. So it tells me a lot of sharps out in Vegas like this over as well. Overs this year are 72 and 62, 54% with a 2% ROI. Thursday night football overs are 5 and 4 so far this season. And here's a crazy stat. I know you and I like to look at weather and look at, referees and stuff like that. Bill Vinovich, the lead ref here tonight, he is 12-0 to the over his last 12 games when he's been the official ref. 8-0 this year. So I'm not playing the over only because of Vinovich, but maybe that tells you he's calling a lot of flags. There's a 50-50 play. He throws the pass interference. Maybe you start to see this come true and really benefit this play toward the over. And also, Kate, I did see online there are videos of this crazy wind at Mile High, like 35 miles per hour. But that does look to be dying down closer to kickoff. So hopefully weather won't really be as big of a factor as you might think. But it all boils down, Cade, to me, in terms of this Rithmm recommendation. I have 2 green star plays recommended, both on the over. I love the fact that this first recommended play is a smart signal. So all of Rithmm's legwork that they've done on this total says, hey, you should maybe think about going over here. Now, the predicted final score, around 27 to 19, you're looking at 46 total points. So, Cade, if the market is leaning over, we got splits to the over, we got system matches to the over, and Rithmm is saying, hey, you can still get a 42.5, which is pretty much available at multiple shops right now. You don't want to wait too long because there's some 43s, but you're looking at a 46 predicted final score. So all you need is 43 to go over that 42.5. But this is a pretty decent discrepancy in a smart signal, 72% hit rate on the over. And then my second model, also on the over, predicted 47.1 points. So I'm going to ride with Rithmm here, take this over 42.5. Kate, any thoughts on this total? And do you agree with this over call?
Again, back to the hot hand, and yeah, again with the smart signals, it seems a little bit low. We are aware of how good Denver's defense can be, especially at home. They've kind of proved that, I think. But if there's one thing that I would like to just root for, is for once an actually entertaining Thursday night football game.
Wouldn't that be nice, Kate?
It's been a while. It's been too long. I just overall, it's a spot that just like screams that, you know what, like why not kind of thing. Like why wouldn't a guy like Trey Tucker pop off for 100 receiving yards or something like that and score twice or something? Why wouldn't Geno have the game of his life? Why wouldn't Cortland Sutton be like? It's just one of those kind of things. I don't know what it is about this game, but it's just the stuff of I don't know if it's public. I don't know if it's fading the public or whatever it is. Some of this stuff just happens out of the ordinary, and the Raiders, I mean, I like to compare them to Iowa a lot in college football because pretty much what their offense looks like, right? Like they like historically, you don't have a guy that consistently just moves the ball, but out of nowhere, they have these offensive spurts where they just like points, 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 and points. I don't have a play in any of the total nonetheless. However, I did like the Raiders team total at the start of it. So technically, if you're liking that kind of side, technically you're kind of saying you like the full game over in some sort of aspect. Not necessarily saying that I hate both, because quite frankly, I'd probably play both. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'd expect both quarterbacks to air it out in this kind of situation or scenario. So yeah, I like the short total.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned short total because, again, you're thinking about an average total in the NFL. It's probably around 45. You get closer to 50, that's what we consider a high-end total. Closer to 40, that's a lower-end total. But I did look up, Cade, when the total is 43 or less this year, what we would consider a low total, the over is 18 and 13. It's 58%. So sometimes I get wary of falling into the trap of, hey, it's a low total, just go over, or hey, it's a high total, just go under. That's kind of a lazy public mindset. But it proves to you that actually that is the case. So sometimes, narratives can make you think one direction, but then you got to test it out. You got to actually look it up and see if that narrative is actually true or if the data supports or kind of goes against it. So I'm riding with Rithmm here, going with this over 42.5. You should still be able to find the 42.5. Again, you're looking at Bet Rivers, FanDuel, multiple books, Caesars. But again, some books are at 43. So you'd hate to see it land on 43. A 23-20 game, or I guess maybe we want it closer for those of us who are going with the Raiders. But you would hate to, push a 43 when you could do some legwork and get that 42.5. So I'll be playing the over here. Now let's talk about some prop bets, Kate, because I know there's a few that you're looking at. And I always kind of, when I start to look at the props, I start with the quarterbacks. Obviously, you can make it very simple on yourself by just going to the best plays and looking at your smart signals. But I kind of go one by one. And the first thing I noticed when I'm getting ready for the show today is that both quarterbacks have recommended over passing yards from Rithmm here. Now, it does scare me a bit, primetime game. Typically, the public's going to go over. But Bo Nix, Geno Smith, I've been looking across the market. I always look at different sports books, and they'll tweet out, hey, here are our top 5 most popular prop bets. A lot of them are Brock Bowers. We got to get to him in a second. But you're looking at a lot of star players, Cortland Sutton, Genty, obviously guys on both sides of the ball. But I didn't see Nix or Geno Smith up there as top 5 at all these multiple books. So that kind of gave me a little bit of, I don't know, kind of an exhale. The fact that, hey, these aren't super popular plays, even though typically, primetime game star quarterbacks going over, the public will really flock to. Now, the first one we're looking at, anyone here liking Bo Nix to go over his passing yardage? Rithmm is saying this is a smart play tonight, and I agree. Bo Nix across the market is around 220.5. You can look around. Bet Rivers, a couple other books are like 219.5. So do your legwork here. But I think this is a play on number one, the discrepancy. Bo Nix is predicted with Rithmm to finish around 271 passing yards, and you're looking at an over 220.5. That is a discrepancy of 50 yards, 51 yards. I mean, that's huge. You can stop me there and say, hey, that's a great play. But also, you look in this spot. Bo Nix at home. He's really, really crushed his over passing yardage prop. Overall, he's 3-1 his last four. You can see based on his recent performance, he's gone over this number in 3 of his last 4 games. But you look at home in particular, Cade, he's really thrown well at home, at Mile High. He's averaged 257 yards per game at home this year. His last 3, he's averaging nearly 280. So again, Bo Nix, again, he's got a great rapport with his receivers. You're going up against a pass defense of the Raiders that has been really depleted. You know, Trevor Lawrence hung 30 on him in overtime last week. Bo Nix to the over, Cade. What do you think about this one? Are you going to ride with Rithmm and hope that he gets 221 or more?
I like Bo Nix specifically. I think that honestly, there's just a good chance that he just piles up yards tonight, specifically with Cortland. I liked his over, but I didn't play it. That's the thing I see a lot with these lower totals is that whenever you have lower totals, I kind of like to tend to props because I think there's a little bit of value kind of in some of these because you see a lot of these kind of lines be a little bit more deflated than they normally would be. So just for future reference, if there is a low total, I always do like to look at props. But specifically for Bo Nix tonight, yeah, I think you kind of have to. Sean Payton loves his passing quarterbacks, you know, and he's got a young gunslinger in back there, and he's very proven that he can hit this line as he obviously has done previously as Rithmm shows. But overall, yeah, at home, he's been really reliable. So I like him to hit that line. I do think it is a little short. I don't really know why it's that short, to be honest with you, considering his averages, but you know, that's why we use Rithmm. It highlights stuff like that. So
yeah, great point. And again, if you're not interested in Bo Nix, even though Rithmm recommends it, you got another opportunity here, Cade. I played this one. I like Geno Smith to go over his passing yardage here. Now, you could have gotten Geno Smith as low as over 208.5 earlier today. I jumped on that at DraftKings. It has been adjusted up. So now you're around 215.5. I believe it was 214.5 a couple hours ago. So it does tell you that there's some late money going over with Geno Smith. But I like this angle for Geno Smith, and I'm going to compare it to Tua's passing yardage last time we did a show, Cade. Remember, Tua was a dog at home to the Ravens. Ravens obviously rolled in that game, so it was gross if he took the points with Miami. But we did highlight Tua going over the passing yardage, and I think it's a similar spot. And I like playing – like Bo Nix makes total sense. At home, crushes it, you know, going up against a team with a very kind of porous pass defense. But I actually like playing dogs, quarterbacks who are dogs who might be down in the fourth quarter and just have to throw the ball. And the other angle here is when you are the defenders, and let's say maybe, again, we're hoping that the Raiders cover this number. That's really where Rithmm is leaning. But let's just say Broncos are up 10. Broncos are up 14 fourth quarter. They're already missing Pat Surtain. Probably they want to get the game over with. Are they going to really just man-to-man get down close to these wide receivers? No, they're probably going to play prevent. They're going to play zone. They're going to give you some passing yards just because the game might be out of hand. So that's what happened with Tua going over. And I like the same thing here with Geno Smith to go over. But again, going right back to what Rithmm is recommending, look at this discrepancy. You can get over 215 in the betting market. Geno Smith is predicted for 252 passing yards. So that is a huge discrepancy between the betting market and what Rithmm is predicting. He has gone over this number, pretty much sailed over it against Jacksonville. And again, that was a higher scoring game. But anytime you can get a quarterback who is a dog, who's probably going to have to throw the ball, especially late, those garbage yards, people call them garbage, but they're important, Cade, if you're playing that over. I love this Geno Smith play. I'm riding with Rithmm. Give me the over 215.5 passing yards with Geno. Again, Rhythm's predicting 252. Cade, any thoughts on this Geno over?
I think if you like the over, you're going to definitely like to play both quarterbacks to go over. So I like the idea, definitely. Like I said, I didn't play Geno, but I did play Bo. So yeah, I mean, overall, same angles. It's pretty much the same dog angle that we go over, like as always, you know, and quite frankly, it's really happened the more that I kind of think about it, because a lot of these teams that we've backed, unfortunately, have been down, whether that's down by a little bit or down by a lot. I mean, they're still putting effort in to go down there and sling. So a lot of these do kind of hit later, but would it be nice to just have a sweat-free one for once, you know? Just to
Cade,
feel
we're always looking
relief.
for a sweat-free one. It
Just
never
to
happens,
just to what
man.
it feels just to what it feels
Yeah.
like. I forgot what that feels I forgot what that felt like, so that'd be nice here for both of us.
Yeah. I think we deserve it. Maybe we'll get it tonight. You never know. But I did want to mention Brock Bowers because Brock Bowers was injured. He was disappointing. I had him on my fantasy team. I still do one of those season long ones, Cade, with my buddies. And I drafted him like second round. It's a PPR league. I'm like, oh, he's going to have a huge year. He got hurt. He didn't really perform. And then he absolutely explodes last week against Jacksonville. Over 100 yards and get like 8 or 9 catches, 2 touchdowns. But anytime you see a player explode and have an amazing game, the immediate thought from the public is, let me ride that guy. Let me just continue to bet on him to perform well. But Rithmm is saying maybe not so fast, because if you look at the receiving props here, especially with Brock Bowers, the under is really getting a lot of smart money. Now, Brock Bowers across the market, he is sitting at basically 6.5 receptions. Now, the first thing I look at, Cade, popular play, public's hammering all these Bauer overs. However, it's juiced to the under 6.5 catches. It's minus 134. Again, shop around, you might find like a minus 125. I know a lot of bettors just want to not bet props with any minus juice. It's almost like that Super Bowl mentality of, hey, you're playing a prop bet. Give me something that I can turn a little bit of money into a lot of money. But I think sometimes you look at it the other way and say, juiced up props are kind of a good thing sometimes, not because you have to pay more vig to the book, but because it tells you there's liability. Maybe that's the sharper side that's taking in more money. So it's juiced up for a reason. So even though everyone's loving Bowers tonight, and I can't blame him, he looked amazing against Jacksonville, Rithmm is saying not so fast. Maybe you should look toward the under here, because the 6.5 receptions across the market, Rithmm is predicting 4.9. So that is a pretty decent gap here where he can land on 5, just as Rithmm predicts, and you can still cash this under. And even better, it's a smart signal. So these smart signals are basically the Rithmm recommendation Green Star plays on steroids. Not only is it a prediction that provides a discrepancy and an edge or an advantage over the book, but it looks at this specific situation. Receptions to the under in this spot. Bowers definitely has got some love here. So what do you think, Cade? Any love for the Bowers under 6.5 catches? He can get you 6. That's kind of a lot in a game, and you can still cash this under 6.5.
I think, especially for a tight end, I think that's decently high, honestly. Considering that he might technically be the number 1 target, I guess, now on this offense. But even after losing Jacoby Myers, I mean, I don't even think he was putting up numbers like that in a way, other than the overtime game that you see against Jacksonville, of course, which that's going to happen with more time. I'm a Trey Tucker guy tonight, so I'm all for it.
Tell me more.
I'm not necessarily on a Brock kind of night personally. But yeah, shortly put, I mean, I took Tucker's overs instead. A lot of that, and it's not necessarily, that's the thing about these trade deadline prop plays, because you kind of feel like it's a guessing game at who is that next guy, like who's the next guy that steps up. But over as the time went on, I mean, like Tucker gets all these kind of deep shots, you know what I mean? Like he is that guy. No Sertan, and again, it's just I think I got this before it moved, I think, but it was at 43.5 is what I had him at. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really have anything on Brock, really. I was just more highlighted by Tucker's props tonight personally. So I took his touchdown and his receiving yards. But yeah, that's about it.
No, it makes total sense. I mean, Jacoby Myers is gone. Someone else has got to step up and get more targets. So I totally get that one. I think too, when we go back to the Brock Bowers under, you got to think about Sean Payton. He's a really, really smart coach. You know, who are you you need to stop? Remember the Belichick, Cade, it was always, don't let the best player beat me. So who can we kind of target and say, hey, we're going to double you, or we're going to make it hard on you? I mean, it's really Bowers as the guy you got to stop here. Ashton Genty, obviously the running back too, but maybe they key on Bowers, which opens up other opportunities for other receivers. I just want to mention Adam Troutman, because if you remember, he was back with Sean Payton in New Orleans. He is not a player where you're going to find on any betting sheet tonight from any sports book the number 1 bet prop, but we love these kind of secondary guys that don't get a lot of attention. Over 7.5 receiving yards, Kate. I mean, that is just one little out route, get 8 yards, boom, you're done. You win this bet here. But what I really like, not only is it a Green Star recommended play, not only is it a low number where the Rhythm is predicting 13.3 receiving yards, so you have a little bit of a cushion there between the market and Rhythm's prediction. But if you look at kind of his involvement recently, now he had no receptions or no receiving yards against Dallas, but he's gone over this number in 3 of his last 4. Again, if you are the defense of Vegas, you got to worry about Cortland Sutton, Franklin, all these guys, Bryant. However, are you really going to key on Troutman? He might get some good looks against maybe a smaller defensive back or a slower safety, something like that, or linebacker. He can get you one catch. I think it's doable. And Rhythm is saying, hey, maybe you should ride Troutman. So that's kind of an under the radar play here to consider going over with Troutman. Now, I wanted to just real quick mention J.K. Dobbins. Dobbins was a guy, obviously, who crushed it at Ohio State, had a really good start to his career. Then injuries really jumped up. But Rhythm is saying maybe all this love for J.K. Dobbins, maybe you want to fade it a little bit because Dobbins across the market, he is sitting at around 70.5 rushing yards. Cade, we're predicted right now 45.1 rushing yards. So you mentioned Sean Payton. He's also a guy, I'll make another comparison to Belichick where like you don't know, who's going to get the ball or who he's going to go to, or could there be a backup running back that gets some looks? Harvey is a guy who really flashed here as a rookie. Is it a situation where Dobbins, maybe they don't use him as much? They go to another guy. Either way, it's a very, very popular running back who the public is hammering the over, but it's a primetime game where Rhythm says, again, not so fast. So Dobbins here under 70.5, Rhythm predicting 45.1. That's a nice little discrepancy there toward the Dobbins under. Cade, ready to move on? Ready to talk about some other games here, man?
Let's do it.
Nice. So let's hit on a few. I want to really tee you up for this one because one smart signal that jumped out to me, or maybe we can just kind of go game by game here, was the Ravens. Now, the Ravens, are they back? They might be back here, Cade. We had Lamar Jackson get hurt, obviously crushed against Miami. The crazy thing that shows you the respect the books have for the Ravens is that even though they still have a losing record, they're favored to win their division. So what does that tell you? It tells you that they respect the talent, they respect the pedigree, their schedule is pretty easy. I think it's one of the easiest schedules the rest of the year. But in particular, this spot, you're going to see a lot of tweets about how Lamar Jackson is just amazing against the NFC. It's some crazy record, like he's 19-1 straight up or 20-3 straight up, but for whatever reason, he's really crushed it against the NFC. But I have noticed a move here toward Baltimore. Baltimore at Minnesota going up against J.J. McCarthy. A lot of books opened, -3, 3.5. Now you're up to 4, even 4.5. You're seeing this line move toward Baltimore. At DraftKings, they're getting 66% bets, 90% dollars. At Circa, you have another sharp split here in favor of the Ravens. And in this spot, we have seen these non-conference favorites do very well. So if we add on what Rhythm is predicting, now you look at the money line here, Ravens money line around -220. That's a little rich for me, Cade, but maybe you involve them in a money line parlay or something like that. But what I really like is this recommended smart signal on just laying the points with the Ravens. They're getting healthy. Lamar Jackson is back. Again, McCarthy played great last week, but still a rookie. You don't really know what you're going to get from him. Rhythm is predicting that the Ravens win by about 6 points. So I'll tee you up. I know you're liking the Ravens. I think you got a really good number. Tell me why we should play the smart signal from Rhythm and lay it with Baltimore.
Shortly put, I love Baltimore this weekend, as you were saying. Yes, a lot. I'm looking at this number, right? And I'm looking at these two offenses, right? And I'm looking at these both quarterbacks, and I'm like, 4 points between Lamar Jackson and J.J. McCarthy. Lamar Jackson, Pro Bowl quarterback, MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, I think. I don't know. Against J.J. McCarthy. No, sorry. I love Brian Flores, and I backed him a lot. But if there's like one man that can just like make Brian Flores look like I don't know, Lou Arenamo or just a really bad DC in the NFL, it's going to be Lamar and Harbaugh and this entire offense. There is simply a completely different unit with this guy under center. And I think that they've proved that a lot. Like he changes everything, absolutely everything. I didn't really think it was going to be that big of a difference, considering you look in the past of without Lamar and you had like Snoop Huntley back there, and they're like, you know what, like Huntley's he's kind of got it, you know what I mean? But you get a different guy, and it's just like, all right, hold on, like let's hurry up and get our guy back. Yeah, he's one of the best in the league for a reason, and obviously that showed. Now the Vikings, they were able to upset. That was probably one of the biggest upsets of the year so far, especially in a divisional game. But now this is absolutely screaming letdown. And yeah, I mean, they were hoping to put the Horde start behind them for Baltimore and obviously make their push for a playoff spot. And last week, I think, was just the beginning. And now every game is just going to be must win and just downright domination from this point on. Their defense, they've settled, I want to say, because at the start of it, we were kind of like, like this team's bad. But the last like 3 games, I think I'm looking at 17, 16, 6 allowed in the last 3. So I think they limit JJ and the entire offense as a whole and cover such a short number. I honestly project this closer to like 6, in my opinion. I took it at 3.5 for -111. I believe that was on Novig earlier today or yesterday, one of the two. But I took first half spread today -2.5 on MGM, and it's one of those get hot early and just get up and roll with it, because this game might be over by the second quarter, honestly.
Yeah, and again, betting markets with you. We've seen that line move in favor of the Baltimore Ravens. And again, I'm the kind of guy who likes to bet a lot of dogs, so I'm like, is there value to buy low on McCarthy plus the points at home? But again, Rithmm in a year where favorites have continued to do well, just coming off of last year, kind of saying, hey, 6-point spread, maybe it should be closer to a touchdown, and you're only laying at this point a 4.5. I think you can maybe get a 4 as well across the market, so maybe even a better number. And oh, by the way, a little bit of a rest advantage here, Cade. You get deeper into the year, extra time can be a big benefit, especially if you're a good coach like Harbaugh. You can use that extra time to game plan. Remember, that was a Thursday night game against Miami. Vikings played a tough divisional game against Detroit. I want to say there's some stat out there, Cade, like the day or the game after you play the Lions. I don't know if this is true anymore, but I think sometime last year it was like these teams like cover at like a 20% rate.
It was nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. The Lions just beat the crap out of them. And, there's the hangover afterward. So I don't know that updated number, but I know that's something wise guys really like last year. So I'm with you, looking toward laying it here with the Ravens. A couple other games that I wanted to run by you here, Cade. The Steelers and Chargers. Now, if we go to all of our plays here, go to calendar. It's a quicker way to kind of get to all the games. Go down to the Steelers game. We are pretty much right at 3. But I'm looking toward taking the points here with Pittsburgh. Now, this game opened Chargers as high as -4.5. It's down to 3. But what I like about the movement, not only toward Pittsburgh, is that it's juiced up toward Pittsburgh. So it's +3, -115, -120. You have some books even down to 2.5. And we do have our Mike Tomlin dog angle here. And if you look at the updated numbers here with Mike Tomlin as a dog, he's been fantastic. Tomlin in his career, 2-1 ATS as a dog. Remember, they just pulled off that upset against the Colts last week as a dog. They are now, Tomlin in his regular season career, 65-35 against the spread, 65%. Primetime dog as well. There's a game at LA, Sunday Night Football. Those primetime dogs, again, matching here with the Raiders tonight, are covering 57% of the time. But, Cade, from an X's and O's versus Jimmy's and Joe's, you have both offensive tackles out for the Chargers. You already lost Rashawn Slater. You lost Joe Alt. What do the Pittsburgh Steelers do? They're really good off the edge. TJ Watt, some of these other guys. That might be the angle for me. Not just Tomlin as a dog, not just this line moving toward the Steelers, but what are the Chargers are going to do with their 2 bookends out for this game? I like the points here. Now, Rithmm is saying you're kind of right on the number. Chargers -2.8, Steelers +2.6. You can still get the 3 here. I'm going to take it with the Steelers. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, it could get ugly in the backfield for Herbert. I think dude needs to be wrapped in some bubble wrap this week. It could be bad. And again, same angle as you. It's just when you have both tackles out, Obviously, one of your star rookies, it's never easy going up against a pass rushing defense that is highlighted by its pass rush. And even if they do get the ball off, you're going to meet a secondary who has been shaky, I will say, but still very talented. That secondary everywhere they're loaded, and I expect them to cause problems. Obviously, um, it's I don't know what else you need other than the tackle news. Honestly, like they have they're already allowing the highest pressure rate, right? Like per drop back, it's 26.5%. Now, again, you just take off one of the best pass rushes in the league, and you're dealing with TJ Watt, who has a pressure rate of his own at 22.7 and the third most sacks in the league as a unit with 27. If they just create pressure like at any point in this game, there's going to be some chaos ensued. So all signs point to them. Again, Tomlin dog. I don't really back to the well with the systems again. You got to trust these kind of things. It's reliable. So yeah, and then you just have the tiny little sprinkles that kind of mix into it, and then bang, you have a play with the Steelers as dogs. So there you go.
Right there with you, man. Yeah, we got the line going to the Steelers. Again, as high as 4.5 down to 3. A lot of books 2.5. I mean, if you can't get the 3, maybe you only have access to 2.5. Great teaser opportunity, taking them up to 8.5, going through some key numbers. But yeah, Rhythm's got around a 2.6. You can get a 3. I'm taking a shot here following Rhythm, going with Steelers +3. Now, here's a game that kind of caught my eye. I guess I would say maybe late in the week because, Kate, I don't know how you look at the board and when you're looking at the games in front of you because, you start the week off on a Monday. It's Monday Night Football. Tuesday, you're looking at the numbers. You're thinking about, the Thursday night game, then Sunday. For whatever reason, maybe it's a fault of mine. Sometimes I don't look at the Monday games until the week progresses a little bit. So maybe I'm late to the party here. But I think the Packers are in a great spot on Monday night. Now, if you look across the board, it seems like, hey, you got to take the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are getting points against a Packers team that just lost to the Carolina Panthers. I mean, it seems like an obvious play. You got to take the defending champs here. But if you look across the market, everyone and their mother is playing the Eagles. The Eagles are getting right now 75% of spread bets in a heavily bet Monday night game. Now, oftentimes, island games, Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night, 75% is going to usually be on the favorite because the public's going to want to load up on a team that they think is obvious. Like, obviously, we had last week on Monday, I think the Cowboys are getting like 80% of tickets. So just from a standpoint of everyone's on Philly, I want to go the other way with the Packers. That jumps out to me. But it's all about fading a trendy dog. When the public loads up on a dog, it's kind of a rare spot because they're programmed and thought to say, hey, I want to take the better team, which is typically the favorite. But all this love right now for the Eagles, I think creates a great opportunity to follow Rhythm, go the other way, and bet the Green Bay Packers. Because this game opened, it was pretty much -3, -2.5. Really hasn't moved at all. Some books are down to 1.5, 2, but for all intents and purposes, even though everyone's playing Eagles, we're not down to a pick. It hasn't hopped the fence and gone to Eagles -1, -2. It's kind of stayed steady here. And a contrarian fade the trendy dog opportunity. So I can go against the public on Monday night. Best times to bet against the public, these one-offs, because there's no other games to take the public's attention. And I can follow these Rhythm signals. So my first signal, it's a caution flag, but it says Packers should be -2.7. This is the kicker here. We have a Green Star recommended play on the Packers to cover this number. Rhythm is predicting around Packers -2.9, closer to -3. In this spot, 65% hit rate when these parameters are met, which matches with the Packers. So everyone loves the Eagles. Packers off a bad loss. You can fade the public, fade that trendy dog, lay with the Packers. You can also go money line here if you want to, pay a little more juice to protect yourself. But Cade, have you been thinking about this game all week? Are you like me and this kind of has been a late evolving play? What's your number on this game? And do you agree that maybe it's a good spot to buy low on Green Bay?
I love Green Bay in this spot, and the weather. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I read a little bit on this. This is like sub 30, is if I've read it correctly. I'm not sure if
a frozen tundra.
It's supposed to be some classic Lambeau primetime game. And I don't know if we're seeing some snow yet or not, but Yeah, nonetheless, I'm all over Green Bay here. The spot, it's beautiful. It's a bounce back spot. Eagles, like I've said pretty much all year, they are the luckiest team in the league. And I don't think I've figured them out quite yet, because they're 19th in the scoring defense standpoint, and then they're 17th in yards per play, yet they are 6-2. Don't know. I don't know. Their offense has been scoring at an alarming rate. Very, very, very talented offense on every single side of the field. No matter who's getting the ball, they have playmakers nonetheless. And then they have apparently a successful 1-yard play that seems to piss off everybody in the NFL. The thing is, with this Eagles team, you need a very good front seven. Packers definitely have that. They are top 10 in majority of the rushing categories, and they're allowing a run on 36.4% of snaps. It's the second lowest in the league right now. So Green Bay is going to make you win through the air. I think that's one of the things. And it's been tough for teams in the past specifically. I'd usually back the home team in terms of situational spots like this where you have maybe weather as a standpoint or just stuff that you would factor in to that kind of stuff, considering one, the rushing offense has been better than Philadelphia's passing offense. And that's obviously going to be important now that you have Tucker Kraft that's out for the year. And Green Bay's overall, they've been good on third down, and Eagles are very poor in that spot. Could play a role. Nonetheless, there's a little bit of injury concern, I think, on Green Bay's side. That would be the only reason I'm halting off, but I already have it, so I can't necessarily back out now. But if all goes in our favor this week, hopefully in guys practice, I think Jacobs wasn't practicing or was limited practicing. I think Golden's limited. They did get Wicks back. A couple of defensive guys, Aaron Banks, I know didn't practice. Yeah, there's a couple of injury concerns there, but if all goes our way, I have full 99.9% confidence in my Packers bet with that. So can't complain about a good number, right? So there you go.
Yeah, great explanation there by you, Cade. And again, it is a Monday night game, so an extra day. Maybe some of these guys who are banged up gives them another 24 hours to get ready for this one. And again, I just highlighted the smart signal laying the 2.5. Well, guess what? You have another smart signal here on the Packers just to win the game. So this is what I did. I money lined them at -125 a little bit earlier today. -130 is pretty much your number across the board. But if you're giving me a Packers team that no one believes in at home in a weather spot, Cade, I think it's a great opportunity to fade the love for the Eagles and go the other way. And we'll give a shout out too. There's a lot of different places you can get your weather information from. I really like Roto Grinders NFL. If you just search Roto Grinders NFL weather, it's an easy bookmark that you can put on your computer. And this is what they have for this game, Cade. Great by you mentioning this, but quote, "The frozen tundra of Lambeau Field is earning its nickname with temps a bit below freezing at game time. There's also a chance for a snow flurry or a stray snow shower." So, I mean, Green Bay, when no one believes in them at home against the public, short number. Give me this money line all day. I'm going to ride this Rithmm recommendation here, smart signal to win the game. Now, a couple other just angles here I want to hit on, and then I got to get to a college game that is just so sharp. I cut my finger on it, Cade, when I put this one earlier this week. But I want to get your thoughts on a prop bet involving our guy Bryce Young, because if you look at Bryce Young coming up this weekend, Carolina Panthers are at home against the Saints. Actually, both quarterbacks have a Green Star recommendation, but I'm going to focus on Bryce Young in particular. Reminds me a little bit of kind of the Geno and the Bo Nix props, but not nearly as profitable as popular, I should say, because Bryce Young is a guy a little bit shorter. Some people say he's a failed first-round pick, but he's actually kind of turning it around. They got a winning record. He's overcome his injury. He's going up against a Saints kind of dome defense who has a terrible record. And I think he could really, really cook here coming up on Sunday. I took his over 176.5 passing yards. Now it is juiced up -114. Don't think it's a terrible thing. It's a little juicier, but it tells you that probably we're on the sharper side here. but it's all about the discrepancy. You can get over 176 and a half. He's predicted for 220.5. So you're looking at a 45-yard discrepancy here. He has gone over this number kind of before he had his injury, a couple games in a row. You also look at home; he's gone over in 2 straight here. So, Cade, any love for Bryce Young? Again, going up against the Saints team that is kind of a dome team that has a terrible record. What's their investment in this game versus Carolina playing well and maybe even going for a playoff spot? Any thoughts on the Bryce Young over or maybe the Tyler Shook over?
Bryce Young has these guys playing like a completely different unit, and by God, I mean they're what are they 5-4 right now? I think is what it is. That's nuts. And I mean this week I think what is it 5.5? They're getting 5.5. Don't even remember the last time the Panthers were getting more than 3, much less like 2 maybe. But yeah, no, his confidence is on the rise, and I've seen it in the last few games specifically. Maybe the yards haven't been exactly at the threshold. I mean, I know he's game managed a couple of really good wins, and especially against Green Bay this last week. Incredible. But this week specifically, I mean, I've projected him just over 180, and I know Rithmm has him roughly way over that. So yeah, I mean, if I have the separate prop model and then Rithmm has a separate prop model, using both to pretty much gather intel to kind of combine the two and then get my confirmation, there it is. So yeah, I'm all for it. I like him to have another good game against another lacking secondary.
Yeah, great explainer there, Cade. And I think also, we just talked about buying low on Green Bay. Green Bay loses at home to Carolina. Now they're playing the defending champs. Hey, you got to go Eagles. But no, with the Rithmm recommendation and the buy low spot, it's actually saying go Green Bay. I think it kind of works in the same way with Bryce Young because Bryce Young pulled off the win, but his stats were not that impressive, Cade. He's 11 of 20 for 102 yards and 1 interception. Why would any public bettor want to take his over when he just threw for 102 yards? I mean, that's like high school quarterback number right there. So you're kind of buying low for him to go over after a week when he went way under. And the obvious play is no, 176, he threw for 102. Boom, hammer the under 176 and a half. But no, good opportunity here. Looks like to kind of back a quarterback who might finally be figuring it out here in the NFL. One other one I wanted to get your thoughts on, Cade. And I love working with you, man, because I just throw stuff at you and you give me your honest feedback. But Falcons and the Colts, I noticed that there was one player in particular in the passing game who had a really good Green Star recommended play, and it was our guy Josh Downs. So Josh Downs in the betting market is sitting at around 34 and a half receiving yards, which isn't a ton. And Rithmm is predicting 50.6 receiving yards. So it's about a 16-yard discrepancy. What I like about this over, not just the Green Star recommended play, so it's kind of met all the criteria that Rithmm is looking for. They're confident enough to recommend it to all the Rithmm users, but kind of his consistency. He's been working with Daniel Jones all year, and he's really kind of started to hit his stride here. Like, look at all these green bars. He's gone over this number in 4 straight games, 57 against Pittsburgh, 39 against Tennessee, 42 against Arizona, 54 against Vegas. Josh Downs may not be a guy that, is Justin Jefferson or some of these huge Jamar Chase, popular wide receivers, but he's a pretty reliable guy who can get you close to 50 yards every game. It's 34 and a half. Now, I know this game is in Berlin, so there are some X factors and variables at play, but Josh Downs is a guy who kind of can be a bit of a deep threat too. A couple catches, he can go over this number. So I did play the Downs over 34 and a half. Cade, thoughts on this one or any other props or games you want to hit on before I tee you up for an epic college football discrepancy play?
I didn't think I would like Josh Downs as much, but I did look at my projection again for this one. He's since week 5, he's had just below 20% target share. So that's leaving him roughly around 50 receiving yards per game. That's just at 48, just shy of 48 looks like. So 1.86 yards per route run, 21.6% first read share, which is incredible as is. Especially now that I look at the fact that AD Mitchell is now off of this Colts team, I expect them to kind of work them in a little bit more. And yeah, the line doesn't really make sense because similar to Rithmm. I mean, I'm projecting him 43.9. So definitely do like him this week as well. And as always, relying on a talented MVP candidate quarterback, Mr. Daniel Jones, to have himself a day. Maybe. Never thought I'd say those words, but here we are.
Yeah, still waiting for the shoe to drop. Maybe it dropped a little bit against Pittsburgh, but still is a guy that has really turned heads. And I think it's all about just getting out of New York, man. Like, you just got to get away
Something
from New
about it.
York. There's something about it here. So I'm right there with you. Now, here's the one that I was saving for the final kind of angle here because, Cade, I have a little joke I do on the All Systems Go pod that I host called like the Ken Palm Sound the Alert. So you were talking about college hoops earlier. It's basically when you are getting a dog in the betting market, but Ken Palm predicts them to win the game. So like maybe Ken Palm has this team winning by 2, but they're plus 3.5. So I always make the joke like, woo, woo, Ken Palm sound the alarm. Here's this team that, again, in the market, you're getting points, but Ken Pomeroy, again, incredibly respected analytics guy for college hoops. He's got them winning the game. So along those lines, let's go to college football. We can line up this one for you. And it is Florida against Kentucky. So this one is really interesting because if you look in the betting market, it's an easy Florida play. Now, the Gators, obviously big name team, kind of fell off a bit this year. Both teams, I believe, are 3-5 on the season. But public's going Florida. But Florida at some books open as high as, I want to say 3.5, 4.5, somewhere around there. A lot of the 3.5s are gone. It's down to 3. This line is moving toward Kentucky, even though the public is all over the Florida Gators. You match quite a few systems that I look at in terms of home conference dogs, SEC dogs in conference play getting 3 or more. Those teams are 60% against the spread. It's also a dog low total game. But all that being said, you can get in the betting market right now, Kentucky plus 3. You may be able to find a hook here with the 3.5. Looks like FanDuel is offering the 3.5. It's a little juiced up. I think it's like minus 120. But Cade, let's just look what Rithmm has. Both says, hey, let's hear go Kentucky in the points. Green Star recommended play. Kentucky minus 3.3. So we are getting a team. You can shop around and get the hook 3.5. You can be against the public. Lines coming back in their favor. Again, all these recreational bettors are going Florida because it's chomp chomp. And Florida's great. And they're way better than Kentucky. And Kentucky is a basketball school, not a football school. But Rithmm is saying Kentucky should win this game by 3 when you're getting 3 or 3.5. So it's not a caution flag. It's a Green Star recommended play. I took Kentucky plus 3.5. I love the fact that Rithmm says they should win this game outright. Cade, what do your numbers say? Any thoughts on this matchup? Are you surprised that Rithmm has Kentucky favored to win the game? Or do your internal numbers kind of say maybe the same thing?
I've done nothing but talk good about this Kentucky team, despite how bad they are. And now that we get Florida, who has pretty much now proven that they are now at the same level, it seems, this year, I have zero reason to believe that they can just win on the road because they haven't. Like, they're 0-4 when they're outside of Gainesville. And in the 3 true road games that they've had, despite not counting their neutral site from this last week, they've been outscored in their road games 80-34. Way too many turnovers against LSU. Offense does absolutely nothing against Miami. Defense has a disgustingly long day with Texas A&M, and now you have Kentucky to build off the momentum from the Auburn game that they just won outright, also as a dog, and an overtime loss to Texas. So play well enough to let Florida implode, honestly, but for Kentucky to win that, I think the run defense has to be outstanding. And the only problem with, I don't really want to call it a problem. I just don't know if they show up at this point. Like, your coach is gone. You played your dead cat bounce game, like you do your part. And we were just talking about this on the Hammer Time podcast because we aired that right before this and whatever. That's live today on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, by the way. But today, Kentucky was one of the teams that we talked about because we do a little segment with the upset dogs, whatever. Kentucky is one of our dogs this week. Or that was Jake's dog, I should say, not necessarily mine. I had a different one, but loved either way. And we talked about, like, after you fire your coach, you play this one game, right? And it's like, you think that you're kind of back in it. It's a motivational game. It's emotional, whatever. And then after that, you're just dead. Like it's season's over, coach is gone. Let's just get through the end of the year, get to next year, whatever, screw it. I just don't know if they show up, honestly. I don't think that we get a full focus effort from a team who just absolutely unloaded the clip in a rivalry game last week with games like Ole Miss, Florida State, Tennessee that have yet to be played. So if you want to talk about a sleep spot, it's this one. Additionally, Florida loses the temporary bump from their new coach, which usually lasts on like 1 week. Like all of these new kinks and whatnot are now on tape, So it's not like DJ Lagway looks great coming out of a bye week with some sort of offensive change scheme. I don't know, maybe I was expecting a little bit too much from him, but I don't get it. I don't get it. And prior to last year's loss in Florida, Kentucky's covered in 7 straight in this rivalry. In other words, there's no crazy trend, that's like there. But I'm not really worried about a care level. Ultimately, just trying to get through the end of the year without Gainesville bursting up into flames before basketball season starts. I think they've moved on, personally.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares about football? You might repeat here in college hoops. So, they got something else that the kids will be excited about.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, again, 74% of spread bets are laying with the Gators, but Gators fell -4.5 down to 3.5 for 3. Conference dog, you can go contrarian. And again, really, this is what's incredible. Rithmm is predicting Kentucky to win this game outright. So shop around. You can still get a 3.5. Looks like FanDuel, Fanatics plus 3.5 -120. So give me the Kentucky Wildcats here, Cade. But that's going to finish up our stream for tonight, my man. But we do got to kind of dish out our just sum up everything we talked about for the last hour. So a few games that I'll be riding. I did take the Vegas Denver over tonight, over 42.5. Rithmm has a Green Star recommended prediction around 46-47. I played the Geno over passing yardage, 215.5. Steelers +3. Packers money line. Love being able to go against the public in a Monday night game. Kentucky +3.5 we just mentioned. And a couple more props. I'll go Bryce Young over 176.5 passing yards and Josh Downs over 34.5 receiving yards. Cade, give me your best plays here coming up this weekend.
Yeah, as starting with the Thursday night game, I do have the +9.5. I took the Trey Tucker as a touchdown score, not first, but I think I did have a couple of those. I don't know. Yeah, I did. We have both defenses. So you have both defenses tonight with Trey Tucker and Bo Nix. So those are my 4 for tonight. Keeping those alive. Quarter unit each. Again, you lose all 4, you only lose a unit, So it is what it is. But hopefully that gets us by for some interesting Thursday night game. As for the weekend of what we've already went over, of course, Baltimore is my favorite one. That's a 2-unit play for me within -2.5 first half, -3.5 full game. Steelers at +3.5 with the hook, and then Green Bay at -2.5. And then, of course, I might have to take you up on the Kentucky money line now that not only you, but you and Jake both have kind of eaten me alive on that one. So I might have to ride the wagon with that.
Well, hey, man, I hope they went out right. I'm just rooting for lose by 3 or less. But, yeah, Rhythm's got us some confidence there that they should probably be favored here. And you provided some great context there, the firing of the coach, pretty much using your bounce already. And then also, Cade, I was kicking myself because I wanted to take the 7.5 against Georgia. I didn't play it. And I just saw the score that they covered. I'm like, damn it, I should have taken the points.
It was, yeah.
But I know you're thinking the same thing as me. The guy did not score. He should have scored. He went down at the 1-yard line. So you covered because he was able to not score when maybe he should have.
My stomach dropped when I was watching that game. Oh my. I don't think I've ever fell to my knees in my living room over a football bet in my life until that moment.
Well, you're young and Cade. Let me just tell you, you're going to fall to your knees dozens more times.
Probably.
Over the course of betting games for the next
probably
80 years or something.
Let's go with that one. Yeah.
And also the total. Did you notice too? If he had scored, that would have cashed the over.
Would have hit the over. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead the under cashes. So that's betting for you folks. But yeah, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. As always, Cade and I are so honored to host this every Thursday night, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Reminder, we do have our refer a friend. You can both get boosted, you and your buddy, if you refer Rithmm. we have our leaderboard contest. We have this awesome new layout, tells you and shows you how the Rithmm team is hard at work improving the product here, as well as the Discord channel, as well as your promo code START25. So have a great night, everybody. Cade, take us home. Good luck, man. And any final thoughts before we get ready to sweat this one?
Yeah, I guess go Raiders tonight and whatnot, and hopefully Geno Smith kind of leads us to a gold mine potentially. And yeah, I'm expecting a bounce back weekend this weekend. It's been a drought, but we're due. There's no more due spot. We're as due as the Packers right now. Let's just say that. Let's go for that. So
yeah, we'll get our cheese, our bratwurst. I don't know what kind of
I'm
beer
ready.
they drink out there, but yeah, it should be a lot
Overalls
of
and
fun,
whatnot.
man.
Yeah, all that jazz.
Exactly. But thank you all. See you next Thursday, Cade. Great job, and good luck, and enjoy the game tonight.